Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Sheldon, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Man, um, really stressful, happy weekend I just had at the Tulsa Rock. Um, coaching. Coaching, man. It is a trip. And definitely when you're coaching three really great individuals, and it's like you're trying to get everybody to win, and it doesn't always go down like that. But then you still keep going. We had a pretty good turnout in Tulsa for Phoenix Nest. The whole team was there. My One of my team members, two of our team, we made into the top 16, and Matt, one of our newer team members, won the event. So super happy. Definitely one of those coach moments where it's just like, yeah. But you sort of look at that later, and when you're in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, my stomach, the ulcer of the stomach. Please, dear God, help me. So yeah. Definitely some good stuff there. So anyway, today's episode is going to be a little bit interesting, mainly because we're just going to look at that Man of Steel set. And the Man of Steel set, not Man of Steel, the Batman versus Superman set. In all honesty, I think that we're looking at a clay pigeon, a lot of clay pigeon, and in particular, I think that most people are going to look at this set and be like, well, should I buy this? Shouldn't I not buy this? Is this worth it? So we're going to go through, and pretty much since it's a small set, we can just pretty much go through everything, and then that'll be today's show. And you can make your own decisions, but truthfully, this set definitely is. It's got a lot of clay pigeons. It just doesn't fly, and they can be shot down. All right, so starting off, we got Batman #1, which it's like, okay, cool. Batman can use charge when he hits an opposing character. Give the hit character action token. So that's nice that you get like a stunning blow effect, and your damage value isn't locked. So he has the ability to sit there with close combat expert, do 5 damage, and be like, you have to stay there while I punch you, while I punch you, while I punch you, while I punch you. Two of them together can be a very nice lockdown mechanic. At 85 points, they're not too bad, but you're also having to constantly keep hitting. But, stuff. So Precision Strike, 4 clicks of that. Also an AE ability. Not bad. Leap Climb, later half the dial. Okay. 3 clicks of Outwit, which really you can't bank on. And you get the toughness on click 2, 3, 5, and 6, which to me is counterintuitive, because the only way that you're going to get 1 click of this damage reduction is if you get poisoned, which, no, this sucks. Really, really sucks. So I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan at all of this. All right, keep on going. Let's look at Superman. Now, this Superman has been called the 15th coming of Superman. That's more my joke than anybody else's. But this Superman is money, and it's not money. Okay, whopping 7 clicks deep. He's really hard to kill, and also at 135, he doesn't have to be your whole team. At the other end of it, I really gotta say, you are very dependent on clicks 1, 3, and 4 because that's where your movement attack is at. And if you lose it, you are so screwed. And that's bad. That's really really bad. And up front, like his click 1 is probably one of the best click 1s in the game right now. Hypersonic speed, super strength, 17 defense, 7 range, Superman TA. It's good jazz. It's real good jazz. But I'm sorry. The damage does drop down. He can, at the end use range combat expert, but I'm not really feeling it. So where does the Superman come in? And everyone has talked about it and said this is the best ID card Superman that you can get. For the average figure that can summon them in. And I agree with that. That average figure can summon in the Superman with little to no problem. So there you go. That's why you want to play the Superman or even buy the Superman. Is it worth $2? Yes. Is it worth $3? Yeah, sort of. Worth $5? No. Definitely not. All right. Next up is Wonder Woman. She can use Charge and Flurry, and that's pretty cool at 105. Considering all the Wonder Womans that we've gotten lately, she is the least beast mode. And here's why. Blades, Flurry, that's cool. Battle Fury, that's cool. You get through all that shape change that's been going on in the meta. But really, you can't be carried because of the Battle Fury. That really puts you at a huge disadvantage. Later down the dial, she gets Charge and Quaking and Power, but who is she really helping out at that stage of the game? I don't know. Yes, she can be carried, but if you've been playing her like she has, like she is front dial, there's most likely no one around her. So this whole transition means that you're aware that she's going to get hit for exactly 3 damage or 4 damage, and then you're going to turn her into a support secondary attacker piece. When at 105, she should be one of your primary attackers, or one at least, your second main attacker. So I don't know. I don't know what they were designing with this. Next up is Henchman's Goon. They have the Underworld keyword, which is really nice. 20 points, enhancement, sidestep, and super senses with a 4 range. We have a lot of these little henchmen guys coming into the meta again at this 20-point value. It's not bad. I would say the only reason that you would want this is if you're building Metropolis or Gotham City Underworld teams. That's the main reason why you would want these. Yep. And if you hear crying in the background, that is my nephew. And many of you might say, like, you're giving up nephew time to record? Well, I came back in, played with him for like 2 hours. And then I was like, I need to record because I didn't put anything out last week, I think. So anyway, keep going. Next up is Lois Lane. The Lois Lane from not World's Finest, but from Superman Wonder Woman is way better, in my opinion. But you're playing this Lois Lane just to have prob. I mean, that's it. You're looking for your Metropolis team, and or your reporter team, and you're looking for cheap prob. Yes, you can get perplexed, but if you get perplexed, you can be seen. Now, also, you want to play this Lois Lane if you want prob and also Superman TA to wildcard. So that's pretty good as well. So I would definitely tell people, like, hey, this has certain values if you're looking for, a level of survivability with stealth, and you're looking for a proper that can just sort of huff it into position. But, just like all support figures, she really doesn't have that huge movement, so she's always going to be next to some sort of taxi. All right, let's look at Aquaman. He has a trait, start King of the Seas when Aquaman occupies. There you go. Water terrain. He can use hypersonic speed and super senses. Added on, to invulnerable. Not invincible. Invulnerable. It's not bad. So you can hypersonic speed, super strength, pick up an ultra heavy, and do 6 or charge, and exploit and do 6. So that's pretty cool. The part that I feel a little like set back about is that he's 6 clicks deep, and in this meta, it's real easy to blow through 6 clicks. Definitely at 110 points. That's a lot of investment considering that I can get characters 100 points that are 4 to 5 clicks deep that do just about as much or more. So I really can't vouch for this Aquaman. I know a lot of people like say like, hey, this Aquaman gets hypersonic speed. He's the greatness. I really can't feel that. Definitely with the stuff that's out now, with the Kingdom Come figures, I really cannot vouch for this Aquaman. All right, next up is Mercy Graves. Mercy Graves has special power up front on movement, which allows her to use the carry ability. And that can be useful considering that she has a 10 movement and she's 50 points with invulnerability, which I don't understand how she got invulnerability, but oh well, she has it. Her damage value is low. Now, with her using the carry ability, it would allow her to get, some other grounded figures into position. And that's pretty cool. But you would also think she would have like the pilot keyword, considering the special power is bring the car around. But yeah, oh well. Anyway, going on, being able to have charge in close combat reflexes and close combat expert at the end, I'm really not too much of a fan of that, but it's your only little damage boost, and at 50 points, it's okay support that turns into a very mediocre attacker. So you can't guarantee on any of the attack parts, so I definitely would say not worth your effort. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 8, Lex Luthor, because there are multiple Lex Luthors. Social media manipulation, Lex Luthor can use perplex and probability control, both with a range value of 8, so that's pretty sweet. He may use either to target an opposing character named Superman regardless of range or line of fire. Now, I gotta be honest, 8 range perplex and probability control, yeah, that's really strong. So this is an A+ piece. Forget the forget the Underworld TA, forget the sidestep, forget the Mastermind. That one click of that power right there, worth the 45 points. Just is. Okay? So get you one of those. And most people say, well, hey, Dark Logos, what happens if, he gets hit? He's dead. He's dead. I'm not going to front. He's dead. He's never going to be on click 2 and 3 unless you push him. Okay? So, yeah, that's on you. Okay? But for that first click, he's staying alive. And you can say, oh, look, there's Mastermind, but, hey, that ain't happening, with all precision strike. All right. So, overall, like I said, this Lex Luthor is definitely something worth looking at. All right, let's look at Bruce Wayne. Yay, Bruce Wayne. 40 points, sidestep, willpower, Batman TA. Special power on damage. I've always been under the tux. When you add Bruce Wayne to your force during construction, you may also add the Batman, number 1, to your sideline. Turn to its orange starting line. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose a standard power that Batman can use on the starting click. Bruce Wayne can use the chosen power. Now, if you go back and look at Batman, that means you get outwits, precision strike, combat reflexes, and leap climb. So the problem that I have with this is for 40 points, I can have outwit, sidestep, Batman TA. And when I need to switch to combat reflexes, I can. And I don't really need to play Batman if that's the role that Batman's in. And I know, again, everybody can say, but Batman has that charge, stunning blow thing. And it's like, yeah, but really, do I need that? And the answer is most likely not. And considering that if I need the defensive elements of it, I can get it when I need it. If I know, like, oh, shoot, I'm about to get wrecked, then, I got combat reflexes. I am no better or no less, at 40 points off using this using this Bruce Wayne over Batman. Also, I have improved movement ignores characters. which Batman doesn't have, which does not make sense. Just doesn't. Okay. Then you have the AE where it says, I am Batman. And then he can turn to Batman on the orange click. But he also has like access to support and combat reflexes, which in all honesty, I like that support click, but that's just, the type of player I am. But in the end, you have to really ask yourself, okay, if you were playing this playing this Bruce Wayne, do you really want that Batman, the AE into that Batman? And my answer is most likely not. You really don't. You will, but you really don't want to. Then next up is Alfred Pennyworth, probably the second, well, actually probably the first most OP figure in this entire set. If anybody is familiar with Amoria's Truce, it's pretty much the exact same power, except on Alfred Pennyworth, and a lot lower point value. Okay? This is Highfather. I mean, if you think about it, this is Highfather's new best friend. Because Highfather's like, I packed you, big, point guy. And then Batman's like, hey, not Batman. Alfred's like, hey, you second most scariest guy. You can't fight Highfather. So, yeah, you can't break the pact. So all I need to do is protect nice Alfred for the rest of the game because you can't hunt Alfred down. And while you play, while you play tag and I play keep away, I'm, wrecking your team with whatever else. So it's just a meta thought. I know someone else is going to be like, well, I just set it up where blah, 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 can't fight, blah, 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 and then, they're screwed. And it's like, well, yes, as long as Alfred's alive, there's nothing stopping them from KOing Alfred. So, but yeah, Alfred, 30 points, enhancement, plus this trait, plus leap climb, plus Batman family TA, late dial, defend, with support, sidestep. This is probably the most OP figure you're going to get. Definitely this Alfred. Now, I'm glad he's unique, but he is definitely OP. Just glad you can't play a bunch of them. All right, next up is Zev. I am the first to the front. Zev can use Mastermind, but only transfer damage to friendly characters named Henchman. Goon, which is a completely worthless trait. Completely worthless. Then you have Cover Fire. Zev can use Running Shot and Force Blast, when that's his attack power, and that's sort of crappy. Because he doesn't pack that much damage for 80 points. There's tons of other figures that I'd rather have than this guy. And yes, he has the Underworld keyword and the Superman Revenge Squad keyword for all that's worth. But in all honesty, you're not going to really play him. This is something that you're going to trade to somebody that's a huge movie fan or whatever that likes this guy. And I'm betting the movie this dude probably has like 4 minutes of dialogue that he says. All right, next up is Batman. And not just any Batman, armored Batman. With the cape waving, which what doesn't make sense why you need the cape if you're wearing the armor. Tell me, do you bleed? Someone's been watching the trailer one too many times. When Batman hits a character with the Superman ally team ability or Kryptonian keyword, damage dealt is penetrating. My viewpoint is that is a little much. You could have just been like, hey, Batman deals 1 additional damage when he hits a person. Because a lot of Supermans have invincible and whatnot. Or Batman ignores, the defensive power of a character named Superman. Or has Superman ally or Kryptonian keyword. That would have been a little bit better. But he already has Outwit. Which you're now saying is you need to have a Superman that's immune to Outwit for this really to be worth it. And I don't see that. All right, next up you have $1 billion Batplane. Batman can use Running Shot and the flight ability and modifies his range value by +3. And that's his moving attack. So now Batman can Running Shot and has an 8 range. Okay, good surprise tactic. Great. I'm carrying a holographic monkey Henry. I'm doing 4 damage. At 150 points, that's not a lot of damage output with a base value of 3 and being 7 clicks deep. I mean, there's a lot of other figures that compete way better. So you're coming back and asking yourself this: for this nice running shot in these 2 TAs, am I getting my money's worth at 150 points? And a lot of people would say yes, and I would definitely say the casual player would say yes. I would say maybe, depending on the scenario. But if you have anything that can shut down that special power up front, you have a really lame duck Batman. You know, really lame duck Batman. So, not the best, not the worst, okay, Batman that we've had, but definitely recently, definitely not one of the best. All right, next up is Clark Kent. He has that alter ego Superman power where he can turn into Superman #2 on the orange starting line, which is going to give him the awesome powers to access running shot, energy explosion, invulnerability, and shape change. Yay! So, good going on that. So I'm sort of sitting back and I'm like, yeah, not too hype. Then you have the attack powers. I've always been the man behind the glasses. And then he gets to, borrow powers from the Superman. Okay. So from Superman #2. So we look at Superman #2 on this first click. Yeah, you get energy explosion. Let's look at Clark's range. 4 range energy explosion. Oh, that's real wonderful. And you have a single target. Oh, you can access invulnerability. Well, I have toughness. So why am I... What's going on? All right, can I access shape change? Well, yeah, that's probably the only thing that's really worth value. So overall, you're not stacking much, and I'm paying 75 points for this. I'm sorry, this isn't worth it. The value for 5 clicks is not there. There's no value proposition here. So unlike Bruce Wayne, it does not help to be, pocket poor. Okay, so yeah, there you go. All right, next up is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is, Diana Prince. I see their names, and I'm just like, I see their superhero names first. So Diana Prince is up next. She has Leap Climb. She has the Warrior Princess, where she gets to borrow again powers from, that orange starting line. And she has combat reflexes and leadership, which 40-point leadership, I'm sorry, that doesn't do you any good. It just adds actions. And takes tokens off of Pogs, because the average character is not going to be able to have a token removed from them. So when we start looking at Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman can borrow toughness, can borrow charge, can borrow quake, and can borrow enhancement, which, in all honesty, is a lot better, because at 40 points, not enhancement and power. So borrowing in power at 40 points and still having an option for close combat, attack, that's way better, value proposition. Way better value proposition. Than the Clark Kent AE. So I would definitely say having one of these is useful, because you would have an empower figure that can charge, get into the fray, and then do a bunch of little jazz. So that's nice. And then if you get tapped, then you can AE, and then it's like, yay, good for you. Okay. Next up is Perry White. Now this is probably the second most OP'est guy from this set, which is sort of hilarious, because the support guys are the ones that are OP, not the attackers. Perry has a trait that says your banner headline. At the beginning of the game, you may choose an opposing character of 150 points or less. That character can't ignore pushing damage as long as Perry White is on the map. If the chosen character is 100 points or more, whenever that character takes pushing damage, deal Perry White one unavoidable damage. This guy can pretty much say, hey, are you 150 or less? Guess what? I can make sure that you cannot ignore pushing damage. So what if I take damage? You're taking 3 unavoidable damage, or you have to come and murk me. You know, if you think about that, for a huge point figure, half your team figure in a standard game has to come in and deal with Perry White, or else they can't do what they do. That is a big deal. That's a really big deal. So I would definitely tell anybody that's looking at Perry White, like, don't sleep on him. Also, the fact is that for 40 points, you're getting Barrier, you're getting this trait, plus you're getting a Perplex, which, yeah, you have to roll to determine, which stat that you actually are going to, affect. And, on 6, you get to choose, so you have a 1 in 3 chance. No, sorry. Yeah, it's a 1 in 3 chance of getting what you want. But overall, I would say like that Perplex is more icing on the cake, because yeah, you can or you may not get it, but if you really think about it, you pay more points for whatchamacallit, Senator Robert Kelly, and uh, Senator Robert Kelly offered the same amount of control against the team. This is against a single figure, but at the same time, you're getting more just defensive support, options with 3 clicks of barrier. So definitely, if I had this for Black History Month, I would love it. It sucks that you cannot play multiples of Perry because he is unique. But whiz kids, right? All right, next up is Superman, 225, and then he also comes in at 150. So let's just ignore the 150 part, because in all honesty, you're probably never playing him at 150 because there's better Supermans you can get at 150 points. Okay, so you got the Batman and Superman Ally TA, which in all honesty may or may not be worth it depending on how you're trying to roll this. If you're trying to roll this in tactics and being like, yeah, Yellow Lantern battery plus backup support, yeah, this could be great. But you have nothing over the Trinity Wars Superman. You can't get more stout. So there is that. Anyway, first off, you have hypersonic speed, super strength, invincible, 19 defense, and 12 attack with 5 damage on your opening click, which means that with the ultra heavy, you can zip in and do a whopping 8 damage, which is pretty much a one shot. When he says in the trailer, it's like, I could pretty much end this anytime I want to. Yeah, he could say that to just about any fig, because that will cripple or pretty much kill any standard figure. He has improved targeting, bringing down buildings, improved movement, ignores blocking terrain, destroys blocking terrain as the character moves through it. So it wasn't improved targeting, it's improved movement. So he can zip through all those walls, all that barrier, does not matter. He will come and find you, and it will not be fun. Then you have Powered by the Yellow Sun, defensive special power, which you must land on because these are not stop clicks, which says Superman can use Impervious at the beginning of your turn. If Superman occupies clear outdoor terrain, heal him of damage equal to the number of action tokens on him, which is really good. With Indomitable and Flight, you're not taking pushing damage. So that's one thing. But also you have to think about this. If you get hit by Mitzelplick onto this click, and your opponent fails to do more damage to you, all you come back and says, like, thank you, Mitzelplick, I heal 2. So when all is said and done, is this, one of the best Supermans in the game? No. Is this one of the best Supermans that you can get in the 200 to 300 point category? No. But I would say it's probably in the top 10. Definitely in all time, probably in the top 10. If you really want me to push it, maybe in the top 8. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the fast forces real quick, because I know the show is not going too long, mainly because this set is really It's not really impressive to me. I know that sounds a little mean considering, but it's really not that impressive. There's no like really command to buy for me outside of Perry White. But uh, anyway, let's go. First off, we have Batman at 100 points. Running shot, special power, super senses, and perplex. That's not the best opening salvo with 11 attack, 3 damage, and 17 defense at 100 points. And I really hate to say this, WizKids, you sort of dropped the ball because once you make Coriander at 100 points, she is the standard in which you measure a 100-point figure. So when I look at this Superman and I say, hey, why am I going to play this over Coriander? There is not an answer. Why am I playing this over Trinity War Batman? There is not an answer. Okay? There really isn't. So let's look at the trait Justice League. Modify Batman's defense value by +1 for each action token on him. Combine that with the standard Justice League ATA, you could possibly get +3 defense off on him. That's really nice, okay, depending on the attack. But my problem again comes back is that's a very strong defensive power for a figure that really at 100 points has to be in a very good offensive and supportive position. And if I'm still looking at Trinity War Batman at 85 points, he's far superior. Yes, shorter dial. Yes, one click of ultra utility. But when I start looking at it, once this Batman gets hit, he's not mobile. He's stationary. He can't really do a lot of his cool tricks. So let's look at his special power, which he only has 2 clicks of, which I sort of feel is a waste of a special power. Where did he come from? Batman can use Smoke Cloud. When he does after action resolve, he can use Incapacitate as a free action. So, yeah, you can't hide yourself, homie. You don't have the Batman team ability. Okay, so and this is one thing, it's like WizKids, come on. All right, so you're trying to make it so that from range, Batman is a 19, and this is a nice way of doing it. So that, yeah, he can use Incapacitate, but he can't do damage. So he can sort of lock 2 people down and be like, poof, Smoke Cloud, poof, now I have an 18 defense from range. Perplex up my defense to a 19, then my trait kicks in once all is said and done. Once I get my action token, I'll be a 20. Yay. From range. Oh, snap, Superman team ability, I am a 19. And some of you might say, well, that's impressive. But at the other end, if you're not building for a meta to hit 22s, I never thought I'd say that, 22s and 23s, I'm sorry, you're already at a disadvantage. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on. Now, Batman comes in also at 50 points. 50 points, I'm really still not gung-ho about this because there are better Batmans. And there's just better figures. Next up is Superman coming in at 150, and he has that Justice League trait where it allows him to get +1 defense. And then just a side note, this trait is way better, and I do mean way better than the Mighty Avengers trait. I want to say stuff, but I can't. I really want to say stuff about that. Why did you make a movie set defensive trait way better? And I do mean way better than a standard comic book, run figure. But hey, you got to sell this plastic crack. And it doesn't sell itself some days, okay? And so he's got that Justice League, trait, which I'm like, okay, you're going to give them all Superman team ability. I don't like that, but oh well. So you got charge, super strength, 17, defense, and 4 damage outwit, which I'm like, okay, well, when does Superman really do that? When it's not like Mxyzptlk or whoever. So it's a little bit sad. And I know they're trying to make a pure, like, I'm in your face, I'm Superman, but really it's not that type of Superman. It's a rather mediocre Superman. Now, if we look at Superman from 150 all the way down to 100, does it make you feel a little bit better? just slightly, but not by much. So I can't really endorse this Superman either. Let's look at Wonder Woman coming in at 125. Again, Justice League, trait, so that's nice. Learned a few things from my mother. Is her special power that she gets on click 2, click 4, and click 6, which almost sounds like something else, but we're not going to go into that. Wonder Woman can use Incapacitate as if she had a range value of 6. When she does, she can use Precision Strike. Now, this is sort of nice, but let's look at it. All this allows you to do is get past super senses for your Incapacitate, which means you're giving up the chance of doing, 3 damage. Now, with a 6 range and a charge value of 5, you're talking about a 1 square distance of coverage, which really, in all honesty, is still about the same coverage, because let's look at it like this. From where a character is at, 6 squares out, okay? All right, now you take that same interaction, instead of having a character being stationary, you move them 5 squares, charge. They're going to be adjacent to the character that was 6 squares away. So really, in all honesty, why am I going to use Incapacitate over charge? So you sort of inflated the cost of this character. Now you might say, hey, Dark Logos, I'm trying to get a tempo control thing going down. And I understand that, but if you are trying to really emphasize on tempo control, why wouldn't WizKids just put that power in the first slot and give me Super Strength later? I don't get that. Also, no Indomitable, which makes no sense to me, but hey, I'm not WizKids. And then let's look at the damage power. Bracelets in the lasso. Wonder Woman can use super senses, but only succeeds on a result of 6, which is a little weak. If she succeeds her super senses roll, give the attacker an action token, or if the attacker can't be given an action token, after action resolve, deal the character 1 penetrating damage. Again, this power should be paired up perfectly on first click with learned a few things from my mother. And that would make this a lot stronger control piece than what it is. So I really can't endorse this character at 125. At 75 points, it's a little bit more digestible, but you're still putting, you're trying to make chorizo out of roadkill, and it's not tasty. It's not tasty. Side note, on my way back from Oklahoma, I saw the largest rattlesnake on the side of the road that got hit. And that was a first. Never saw a rattlesnake getting hit. Never. Seen armadillos and dogs and deer. Did see some deer get hit that were hit, but never a snake. So, hey. All right, so next up is Aquaman. Now, Aquaman, everybody's been ranting and raving about Aquaman, how he's like, the G of this Fast Forces, and I gotta really agree. And it's only for one particular reason. It's not even that Justice League trait, because really his defense out of all of them gets the most stupid, because he starts with an 18 instead of a 17, which means he can get up to a 21. So that in and of itself is a very big deal. You have King of Atlantis, which allows him to have invulnerability. When he occupies water terrain, he can use barrier as a free action. And when he uses barrier, he can place the blocking terrain markers in water terrain. So why is this a huge deal? Let's look at it like this. You get one of these guys, you don't need a second. Okay, you really don't need a second. You don't have to worry about alternating barrier. Where in some teams, trying to do alternating barrier is insanely hard. Okay, alternating barrier with the mystical theme team will cost you 80 points. And that's with one stationary Kingdom Come Green Lantern and a 50-point Doctor. Okay, trust me, I invested in looking at it this for a couple of things. But let's look at Reporter. You can play Perry White at 40 and then try to find another barrier person with Reporter keyword. You can put in 2 Poison Ivies from the World's Finest Fast Forces. That's it. I mean, but those Poison Ivies cannot do absolutely jack, and they cannot push. Okay, so you have some problems when you're trying to get perma barrier. But when you're able to have a character that just says like, yeah, I'm attacking. I can attack. I will attack. I have good stats, and I have good defense, and I can just put up this wall. And you're going to have to deal with this wall. And if you fail to deal with this wall, guess what? I'm going to make your day suck. I mean, I just am. So there, there is a nice level of play which allows you to advance very quickly downfield using this power. Now, the downside is, unfortunately, the power plant is going to retire this year. So being able to turn clear terrain into water terrain, or any terrain into water terrain, is going to be almost nigh impossible. So definitely a good pick. There are a lot more water maps now. I hate to say it, this figure has to be played on a theme team to maximize what he does. 125 full endorsement, 75 full endorsement. Great figure. Next up is Mercy Graves. I don't know why she's inside of the Fast Forces and not Lex Luthor, but I mean, not Lex Luthor. Well, no, Lex Luthor is inside here, but I don't know why she's inside of here when you could have gotten a better figure like Doomsday. Why not, WizKids? Oh, because you didn't know. That's why. So yeah. Let's go look at it. You're paying 50 points for Sidestep, Psychic Blast, Defend, and that's not bad. That's not a bad combo at all. But here's the other end of it. You're getting a 17 Defend, and that's not a happy train right there at all. So that sucks. Now you then push to an 18 Defend, which is a little bit better, but there's enough characters that do an 18 Defend that provide more utility. So no, this is crappy. This is not worth it. From 50 to 25 points, you have a very crappy attacker. Now you do have you have the political cover-up trait, which is at the beginning of the game, choose another friendly character with the politician keyword. When Mercy Graves is adjacent to the chosen character, that character can use shape change. So really, guess what? If you're playing and with another politician, all you do is just play 25-point Mercy, not 50-point Mercy, and then you just like, hey, guess what? You have shape change as long as I'm next to you, which you preferably will want a character that flies so they can carry Mercy. All right. Then you have the Lex Luthor. Now, the Lex Luthor, in all honesty, is really nice. He allows for a good amount of diversity because he has 2 dials. Okay, so you get to pick which starting line you're going to start on, which really shouldn't be a factor that you need a trait that allows you to do that. You should just be able to pick your dial. Oh, here's one starting line. Oh, here's another starting line. Okay, now here's another thing too. There is entity shenanigans to be played with him, but we're not going to go into that. But let's look at the red line dial, which is, your standard stealth, TK, and perplex. That's really nice. It doesn't fly, but that's really nice. Then you have your poison, super senses, and outwit, which only very specific teams are going to use. Calculator TA is a bonus, is a really huge bonus because it could allow him to be more survivable or at least help out with utility. Definitely copying PD or Hydra or Shield TAs, or even being able to copy Superman TA to outwit through stealth. So there's a lot of I hate to say it, there's a lot of bad stuff with this Superman Dawn of Justice and Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice, 15 other titles underneath set. Number one that just strikes me is if you're playing characters in the set, it's not fun because the villains, you have to get a bazillion henchmen to fight the Justice League. There's no Doomsday. On top of that, the Batman and the Supermans are very mediocre in comparison to the last few sets of Batmans and Supermans that we've received. And so it's a little bit of, as the Valley Girls used to say, gag me with a spoon. Because it's not quality work. And I know some people would say, there's only so many ways to do Superman. There's only so many ways to do Batman. I agree. But I also believe at the same time that if you're going to try to tackle, these characters in a different light, yes, I like the AE element. They should have, Superman could have been done better, but Batman and Wonder Woman was done pretty well. The whole idea of 135-point Superman coming in doing Superman-y things, but doesn't permanently stay hypersonic speed. I like that. Okay, you could have easily said, okay, he goes from hypersonic speed and he gets hit, so now he's on charge, instead of running shot, and then he gets running shot a little later, and then, a last bit of hypersonic speed or whatever. Stuff like that is things that you can do with a dial. But again, WizKids doesn't listen to my show, but you do. So the best thing I could tell you is go to Troll and Toad or, Dice Addiction or whatever, website of your choice, Majestics, and just buy singles of what you want. And don't go to wherever it is, Target or to your local comic shop and buy it blind. Because I can't endorse that. There isn't a proposition value for you to buy blind for this. So, and I'll say this with full disclosure, I did. And I'll tell you, like, what ended up happening when I bought blind. Not for the Fast Forces, but for the Target stuff. I got 2 of those Supermans. I got 2 Perry Whites. And I didn't buy a whole display. I got 1 Diana Prince. I got 2 Clark Kents. I got Lex Luthor. I got way too many Mercy Graves and Aquamans. Okay. And I got like 3 of those 135-point Supermans and then some Batmans. I think I have 1 Wonder Woman. So really, it's really not worth it. It's just not. I don't feel. I think, like I said, major picks, 135 Supes, Perry White, Lex Luthor, Batman, Alfred, Diana Prince is good too. All right, that's it for today's show. My nephew left, and I got him sort of going, hey, and because I watched this thing called a haka, and you can look it up, but pretty much it's like a New Zealand sort of chant type thing, and I shared it with a couple of people on my team, and I was just, one day I was like, yeah, let me just show it to him. So I showed it to him. He was like, ah! And so that was pretty cool. And then I sort of do like a sumo stomp thing, and I go, hey! And then he goes, eh! And then I go, hey! And so it's pretty cool. So we go back and forth now. So the Uncle Fun has begun, or it's not has begun, it's been going on, but the Uncle Fun has been great. So yeah, that's it for today's show. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, Toto is no place like home. But wait, your name's not Toto. You can follow my random musings there, find out when a new show is up. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it pithy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Tell me what you think of this Dawn of Justice set in World's Finest. Feedback. Still waiting to hear from people on that. And really, what are your figures that you're looking forward to for modern age constructed play? 300 points to 500 points. Which figures stand out to you? And if you like to buy a shirt, it's in the link below. Everything goes to help make the show better. You can get a Starting Over Podcast t-shirt or a Phoenix Nest t-shirt. And you can check out the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And you can check out the buy list and whatnot. All right, that is it. I have a lot of unpacking to do and organizations and a bunch of other stuff. So I will check y'all later. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.